Hi all, gonna kick things off. I don't usually turn on my video, but I'm the Wizard of Oz for these events. We're gonna throw things to our prelude tonight. So just sit back. If you're still getting comfortable, that's just fine, because that's what the first song is for. So enjoy, everybody.
Grayson, we can't hear the audio.
You know, that would be helpful, wouldn't it, for a piece of music? Let's try that again, everybody. Thanks for your patience.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Richard Witt with Grace in Lions, and it's tremendous to have you all with us this evening for our Justice celebration. And that was Britton and Meredith Riley, who played Amazing Grace for us. Our theme tonight is Journey to Life. And when I think of that, for some reason, the image from the movie Fiddler on the Roof comes to my mind toward the end of the movie when they have to leave their village and they're all traveling together, some pulling carts, some on horses, some leading their cows, joining with other villages and other people. And I'm constantly thinking about this journey that we call life and how we get forced to move. At times we choose to move, and others join us, some for a long period of time and some for just a short period of time. And that journey becomes both going to somewhere, coming from somewhere, but it's also the experience of being together in the midst of it. Tonight, we have a wonderful array of people that have joined us for our journey, and they will share some stories and some thoughts and some music. And all of this is a part of what we at Grace and Lions call our monthly justice celebration, as a way of bringing people together to share in the journey. Some of us of a particular faith background, some of us have no place for a denominational or religious background, but all of us here together now in this moment. So we're going to pause for just a moment and give thanks for everybody being together, and catch our breath and breathe and focus for a moment and give thanks. The sun is warming many of us, except perhaps for those that are in Florida and are having rain right now. The peepers are starting to peep in certain spots, and at least in this part of the United States. And spring is starting to awaken and accompany us on our journey. And for all of that, we give thanks. This evening, our storyteller is the Reverend Anita Byrd, who is at Hobart and William Smith College in Geneva, New York, and is a part of the Grace Committee and has just the most wonderful personality and energy. Every time I'm around her, I feel so inspired and filled. So we give thanks. So we're going to begin with Nita sharing her story. And after Nita's story, we'll have a moment to reflect on Nita's story with a song from an old friend at the Justice Celebration, Stephanie Quintanilla. So Nita, welcome.
I have to remember always to unmute myself on these. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Richard. And I want to tell everyone that I'm really honored to be able to share a story with you that's from my own experience and my own journey towards life. And beforehand, I do want to apologize. I cannot stay with you for the whole celebration because I have to prepare for a worship service here at Hobart William Smith Colleges. But I want to share the story around this theme of journey towards life. And as I do it, I want you to know that I was inspired by the fact that this is a story about how I learned that even though initially I may have thought my voice could not make a difference, I learned that our voices are all important. But I want us to think right now and settle in to the fact that we are just today actually coming out of months of snow and cold. And today I got out and really enjoyed the sunshine. So I was really eager to bring springtime and new life into my home. I went and purchased some daffodils and snipped them and figured out how to place them and arrange them on my dinner table. And I'll have those to look at this evening. And that symbolism seemed to point to more than spring, however. I noticed that I was really longing for a breath of fresh air after the trying times of the past year's pandemic and injustice that we have seen all over our country, even the world. And as I placed the flowers on the table with this thought in mind, I realized that injustice and suffering have a very long history in the human story. Even in my own life, I was exposed to the realities of how our actions impact those whom we may never see in person. So I'm going to go back a few decades, actually, when I was in college, and the seeds were planted in me that would take root and grow years later. So I decided to take a course that was an elective and not part of any major that I was majoring in. It actually did not even get me one step closer to graduation, but I was drawn to the topic, and that topic was world population and food distribution. I showed up for class, hoping that somehow I would be given this magic solution for solving the world's hunger problems. But since I was at a major research institution for both agriculture and engineering, I expected that the professor was working on some interesting research to increase crop yield or maybe even predict the weather in the meteorology department to a point that everyone in the world could be fed. Well, I guess I really had not read the title of the course very carefully. It did not say food production, but instead, the title of the course was food distribution. A few days into the course, I began to learn that distribution was the issue at hand and that hunger was not a result of our natural environment, but instead was a human-made problem and closely tied to the World Bank and politics. In this class, it forced me to ask myself, how did I participate in this problem? And how could I also be a part of the solution? I did graduate and I went on to work in industry, but that question raised in that course continued to plague me. Somehow I felt called to take action. So one day, as I was working, I decided to use some of my vacation days and do something about it. I had been following the legislation in Congress that year and had come across an opportunity to volunteer as a lobbyist for some hunger-related legislation through an organization related to my faith. This was not my occupation. This is not what I was getting paid for, but instead it was my calling at that moment in time. And it dawned on me that I had a voice and that I could also help to gather the voices of others to impact where my tax dollars were spent. So I made appointments, went to Washington, and I was greeted by my congressional representative. Actually, he's still the representative for that district in North Carolina today. And I was greeted by the staff of one of my state senators. And that's the interesting part of the story. I said the staff, the senator was not available. And this particular senator had a long history of voting for military aid and against aid that would alleviate international or domestic hunger. This was only one of the areas in which I felt I was speaking into the wind, where my voice would just dissipate into nothingness by attempting to share my position with this senator. However, I did feel a sense that I needed to be there because eventually the senator did abstain from voting on the bill before the Senate instead of voting it down. My meeting with his aide was not the factor in reducing his opposition, not just one person, but rather it's because it could have been part of an organized effort of like-minded people throughout the state that had an impact. My presence there simply embodied the determination of those who were writing letters, making phone calls, but may not have had the resources to make that trip. I was not there alone. I was part of a community, and I had to depend on those whose thoughts and actions were really literally backing me up in that visit to our nation's capital. I share this story because it was a turning point in my life that helped me to understand the sacred trust that we all have. That is the life that we hold in trust, our lives, our very own lives. And every action that we take on this planet is important. Every word that we speak carries weight. It doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter where you live now. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. But we all join into this type of symphony with other voices, and each of our voices helps to carry the message and the tune along. When we live and breathe, our very existence affects the fabric of those who live around us. It is just like those flowers I mentioned earlier that I placed on my table, the daffodils. The daffodils that I brought into my home for my dinner table, those flowers present among us as we are going to eat our food this evening will connect us to the sunshine that caused the flowers to grow. The daffodils brighten my home and allow my consciousness to reach beyond the ordinary and into that emerging life of spring. Daffodils are such a very tiny thing, but if they can make that much of a difference to me sitting at my table at a meal, then imagine what a difference our lives can make on the communities in which we live. This is our call to action. This is our journey towards abundant life. We all make a difference. Most of all, we must learn to depend on each other, just as I had to depend on the people whose actions backed me up when I visited Congress. Humankind is a collective, interdependent, organic community that must move together. And we cannot forget that each of us here has a purpose. Each of us matters. Each voice matters. Each action matters. And that is the key as we journey together and journey towards life. So I really want to thank you this evening for allowing me to be here with you. I'll hang on for a little bit longer until around 6 o'clock.
Hi guys, so today it's Steph, sorry. I'm gonna be singing for you guys, Stand By Me. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand, won't you stand by me? If the stars we look apart, ooh, should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand, won't you stand by me? So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, won't you stand by me? Oh, won't you stand by me, stand by me.
Well, that was certainly a beautiful song and beautifully sung. Thank you, Stephanie. As Anita said, that was a great follow-up. And thank you very much, Anita, for your moving words and your story in this step towards life and in the struggle. Up next, we have, in order to connect ourselves to our moment in history, both nationally and locally, we'd like to present a song called Dangerous Women by Colleen Katao, who is on the call with us. She's a local artist. Grayson, do you want to hit that?
Women won the vote in 1917 in a fight for restitution and equality. They put their bodies on the line, held hunger strikes and picket signs. Dangerous women, yes, but a bittersweet victory. It's dangerous to stand alone, dangerous to say your body is your own, dangerous to break from tyranny. Well-behaved women don't make history. How dangerous are you willing to be? you know, for more than 1,000 years, Haudenosaunee women had it better here. They were equals, held the land, chose chiefs as mothers of the clan. And these dangerous women gave the lie to Eve's sin. Seneca Falls, 1848, Western woman to put an end to her subjugated state. Coalitions changed, years passed by, enfranchised white women came the cry, but some brave voices rejected that injustice. It's dangerous to stand alone, dangerous to say your body is your own, dangerous to break from tyranny. Well-behaved women don't make history. How dangerous are you willing to be? Now there are women whose wisdom knows no age, like Elizabeth Cady Stanton or Matilda Jocelyn Gage, who knew their liberation could only be for each and all, who learned from native neighbors and they heeded their call to know and none are free when one of us is not. Stanton and Gage, remember their names, while others retreated, they remained steadfast, always to the claim that the vote alone is not enough to change, no matter what the danger. It's dangerous to break from tyranny. Well-behaved women don't make history. The vote was won, but who remains outside? Whose voice suppressed when class and race divide? Be like the mothers of the clan. Take that power to our hands. Know where we are and where we ought to be. Bend the arc to our authority. Be dangerous. Let's get dangerous. Be dangerous to make our history.
I also love that song. Again, thank you, Colleen, very much for sharing with us. So when we look at today, there are a couple names that come up in the struggle for justice. George Floyd, Daniel Prude is a local example. We have Breonna Taylor, Dominique Taylor, killed while sleeping, Priscilla Slater, Tatiana Jefferson, killed while babysitting. We even had police mace the 9-year-old daughter of Elba Pope here in Rochester. These are parts of the struggle as we fight towards freedom. And as we look at International Women's History Month, we need to stand together and we need to recognize the women whose shoulders we stand upon. We, as Colleen said, well-behaved women don't make history. And some of us here are looking to make history. So instead of focusing on death, let's focus on life. Let's look at the Harriet Tubmans, Coretta Scott Kings, the Fannie Lou Hamers, the Dolores Huertas, and the many others that have fought for life. And right now we're gonna look at one of the biggest, the mother of the civil rights movement, Ella Baker. Grayson, can you start the video?
What do two of the most important civil rights organizations have in common? Meet Ella Baker, the brilliant Black woman whose ideas and careful grassroots organizing helped give birth to Dr. King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference and to the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. For this reason, Ella Baker is reverentially known as the mother of the Civil Rights Movement.
I remember Miss Baker saying, many of you are from some of the quote-unquote best schools in the country, so when you go into rural areas, don't go in there thinking you're gonna lead the people. Find out what the people want.
When you heard Ella Baker speak, you were ready to get out there. She really wanted us to stand up and speak out. And she gave you the energy to push. You can lead, you can be somebody, you can do something.
Friends, brothers, and sisters in the struggle for human dignity and freedom, I am here to represent the struggle that has gone on for 300 or more years, a struggle to be recognized as citizens in a country in which we were born. I have had about 40 or 50 years of struggle, ever since a little boy on the streets of Norfolk called me a nigger. I struck him back, and then I had to learn that hitting back with my fist one individual was not enough. It takes organization. It takes dedication. It takes the willingness to stand by and do what has to be done when it has to be done. A nice gathering like today is not enough. You have to go back and reach out to your neighbors who don't speak to you. And you have to reach out to your friends who think they are making it good and get them to understand that they, as well as you and I, cannot be free in America or anywhere else where there is capitalism and imperialism until we can get people to recognize that they themselves have to make the struggle and have to make the fight for freedom every day in the year, every year, until they win it. Thank you.
More interested in effecting change than public acclaim or financial reward, Baker inspired a generation of young Americans to risk their lives to fight racism, sexism, and white supremacy. Simply put, the mother of the civil rights movement had many children, and we are her heirs.
So at the end of that panel, or at the end of that video, we had 3 questions come up, or 2 questions come up. How are you involved in civil rights? And how can everyone else get involved in civil rights? Every time I hear Ella's words, it just inspires me. I'm ready to get out there, ready to do more. I'm ready to find out how I can get involved every day of every year until we win. So we're gonna let 3 women speak who are daughters of the civil rights movement, who are women involved in the struggle for life, and who are presenting you with the opportunity to join that struggle where you live. So I'm going to share screen and share these opportunities
Hello
with
everyone,
you.
my name is Marlee Tamfler.
second. Okay, here we go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marlee Tamfler. I am a former Joy member, also known as Justice Organization of Youth. I am from Sodus, New York, and I attend Alfred University, and I am a freshman at Alfred. So I just wanted to stop in and just provide information and more insight about as to why I personally fight against injustices such as racism, sexism, and just a whole slew of injustices that occur within our society. I think personally for me, why I fight for justice, and I think the obvious answer is that I am a Black woman, which means I am oppressed in the society that I live in today. And the issues and the policies that are made to hinder my success within society. And I feel like that's the ultimate reason, that's the ultimate and most obvious reason as to why I fight. But it's also because I understand that there are also other individuals who also face the same injustices I face, or who also face different injustices and deserve to have that success as well. And I believe that I want to fight not only to better my future, but for the betterment of everyone's future. And I think that that's the main reason as to why I fight and why I speak up about issues that occur in present day. It's hard for people to get into activism if they don't know where to start. And I feel like the first place to start with is within yourself. I feel like you have to have that drive, and you have to have that want to change and to want to bring awareness to these issues. I think the second place to start is honestly through social media. It's very easy to find issues that are currently happening throughout the world, and I feel like it's very easy to find and research your own information just using certain outlets like New York Times, like The Guardian, and just like your local news sources. However, there comes a certain point where you have to take that online activism and you have to shift it to a physical setting. I know for me, in my hometown, along with the help of others, I organized a rally that occurred over the summer in Sodus, my hometown. And I feel like that's the main problem, is a lot of people like to wait until a rally starts or until somebody else forms it, and they don't want to be the one to form it. I just want to say that I appreciate being invited to this celebration and being able to speak and being able to provide as much information as I can. If anyone has any questions or is interested, I will have my email sent in order to ask me questions or just anything that you're curious about. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it, and have a good night.
Buenas tardes y gracias por invitarme a participar en este
Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me here to be in this panel. It's an honor to be with me. My name is Beverly Silva. How? With that name, she Hispanic. My mother was a nurse, and she was a missionary, and then married my father from Chiapas. I ended with the name of my mother. I was born in Mexico. I'm from Mexico. I want to highlight at the beginning, he only created one race, human race. Man created the vision of rights to give permission to slave other people, or people that are different from that one who was conquering other. The same way that men invented race and racism, it is on us to stop racism and the hate from others who are different from us. That means learning to be anti-racist. In this moment, it's really important to learn the anti-racist and follow up with it, and to never stop until we eradicate racism all around us. I come from two races, white and black, and you cannot make me choose one over the other one. I'm here because I'm part of the network of rapid response This is a group that is conformed of people that represent people or groups in which we're. For me, from the Finger Lake Community Center, the rapid response group in Finger Lake is to support people that suffer harassment for being immigrants and their status. So how can you participate? You can join us to support people that are working here and because of the color of their skin or their immigration status are suffering harassment, immigration harassment. We're looking to support those impacted with our presence as witness, especially the moment of a detention, or with material support, maybe legal. We're trying to find ways and to support people that need support because of the uh, immigration politics of the United States. Our purpose is to stop deportation of our brothers and sisters and create community. Some of you can support with time, maybe can support with money, some with transportation to immigration court. Maybe some others can provide food or clothing. And some other ways of supporting is to work with this group that's working and with police reform to cut that link between immigration and the police. And and also another place we're going to talk about the process of detention and deportation. We're going to actually provide more information, Abra, at the end of Abra. And you can actually then send to the number here and you can actually answer your question. And thank you for then inviting me and being here.
Thank you to Sean for asking me to respond to the clip on behalf of Wayne Action for Racial Equality, WARE. Sean absolutely set up my response by posing this question. Why do you risk your life to fight racism, sexism, and white supremacy? My first thought was that I was clearly underperforming in Sean's eyes. I am a privileged middle-class white US citizen. With minor exceptions, I have always felt reasonably safe and accepted wherever I go. Marches and interactions with police on behalf of others included. I'm aware that this is not the experience of many people who can never let their guard down in this country. I'm sure everyone would agree that personal relationships are the best way to break down barriers. But as Ella Baker in the clip modeled, it takes an expanded commitment to affect change on a large scale. 25 years ago, WARE was created by a group of like-minded people who wanted to address racism in Wayne County. We listened to our Black members talk about their negative experiences at work, in stores, in banks, in their children's schools, and with law enforcement, and housing, I might add, and housing. White people talked about racist things they heard or witnessed, and how to best respond, talk about how to best respond. Together, the group tackled race-related community issues as they arose. A scholarship was established, recruitment efforts were made to increase minority hiring, hosted anti-racism training, invited candidates to debates, and much more, 25 years worth of projects. In the last 15 years, immigration became a part of the conversation. Now, in response to the need for police reform, our attention has included the support of the Black Lives Matter agenda to improve public safety, especially as it relates to people of color. Please know that you would be welcome to attend our meetings or receive our newsletter. We meet the first Monday of the month at 6 o'clock. now on Zoom. Later, we will rotate between SOTUS and Newark. You can find us on Facebook, and Sean will make available Ware's contact information. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Sean, for organizing that. We try each Justice Celebration to offer some action steps, and the journey, requires us gathering together in order to strengthen ourselves to go back out into the world, and that's the thought behind our action steps. One of our action steps is to find me a light so that I can not have disappeared into the dark like I seem to have done, but somebody's pulling down the sun. So hopefully you can just hear my voice. We're going to bring the Justice Celebration to a close this evening with a song by dear friends Mary Lou and Mike Ramich, and then a poem by the one of the extraordinary poets in the United States, Poet Gold. And then before we have a blessing, I'll tell you about next month's Justice Celebration. So Mary Lou and Mike, and then Poet.
Go make a difference, we can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference, we can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. We are the salt of the earth, called to let the people see the face of God in you and me. We are the light of the world, not to be hidden but be seen. Go make a difference in the world. Oh, go make a difference, we can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference, we can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. We are the hands of Christ reaching out to those in need, the face of God for all to see. We are the spirit of hope, we are the voice of peace. Go make a difference in the world. Oh, go make a difference, we can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference, we can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference in the world. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake up. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake up. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake up. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake. The spirit awoke and opened my eyes. Instead of sleepwalking, I'd rather be sleep deprived from a long fight for justice, for just us. I'm awake from a time of empty syringes scattered beneath my feet, living corpse, bending, nodding. I'm awake from hollow point bullets that sound like thunderclaps, black bodies that hit the black tar and become breathless. My spirit was restless. Now I rise to answer the call. I slumber no more. I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake up. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake up. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake
I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake. From 400 years of tears and battle cries, wounds to heal, left open by those who wield the power. I'm awake by the howling wind carrying the distant weeps of brown babies held in cages. I'm awake by the cult of personality, the manifestation of our collective evil, complacency, and a need for a hero. Here I come to save the day. I'm awake from fear, fearing fear. Eyes won't shut just in case you have to fight. Forget flight. I'm awake, dancing to the music of my people, finding hope in that drum beat, telling me to hold on, hold on. I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake up. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake, wake up, wake up. I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. I'm awake.
Poet Gold has awoken hundreds of our children at our summer camps through the years, and we're very grateful. And also, you know, Mary Lou is the one who probably single-handedly helped make a difference in the Justice for Farm Workers campaign in Western New York, gathering all of us to march every Labor Day and supporting the marches to Albany with her energy and her commitment and passion. Thank you, Mary Lou and Poet. I hope that you will join us a month from now on April 18th at our next Justice Celebration. Our theme will be growth. Our storyteller is Angie Hernandez, who is a remarkable woman, been a part of our Justice Celebrations, a mother, a farm worker, and now a union organizer. Very powerful story next month from Angie. And we'll bring our evening to a close with a blessing from a board member of Rural Migrant Ministry, the chair of our Western Council, Annette Jimenez.
God is great. I watched a movie last night that I've been meaning to watch about a federal case against Vietnam War protesters that offers the perfect vantage point for today. When we see how little has changed from 5 decades ago, it may seem difficult to keep the faith. But Jesus is the truth, the way, and the light. He stands by those who struggle for justice. From women marching for the right to vote, to the great civil rights leaders killed for fighting for their African American brothers and sisters, to RMM working with our migrant worker families to fight for fair labor conditions. Dolores Huerta once said, "The great social justice changes in our country have happened when people came together, organized, and took direct actions. It is this right that sustains and nurtures our democracy today." Unfortunately, the violence perpetuated against protesters from that case in 1969 has not stopped, as we see our Black brothers and sisters die at the hands of the police. What feels like a never-ending struggle can make us disillusioned, dejected, and afraid. But with God, all things are possible, as long as we remain in the struggle, la lucha, for what is right. It brings to mind a song my daughter used to sing in her gospel choir. There is hope, as long as Jesus is alive. Yes, there is hope. Esperanza. We come together today and we pray for a better world that offers a more equitable path for all. Sí se puede, con Dios siempre adelante, y que Dios los cuide y protege hoy y siempre. Amen.
Go on your journey in peace, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Good night.